Howdy folks, it's Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, making another video for you out of Boise, Idaho. How do you like the new sign? The new signs are pretty cool, huh? So, just wanted to show you that. Anyways, okay, so I have been working on this 2014 Jeep Cherokee, and I have been executing a difficult diagnosis. I've been trying to figure out why the gas tank is vapor locked. Or in more simple terms, why is it pretty much impossible to put any gas into the tank? The gas pretty much cuts off every, golly, I'm going to say every like 3 to 10 cents. You put your nozzle in, you turn it on, and pump, 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 boom, pump, 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 boom, pump, 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 boom, pump, 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 boom. Okay, so I thought, that's funny. So we start going through the diagnosis. Now, I already know what it is. I figured it out, but I'm going to take you through this diagnosis a little bit because it is complicated. This is not just a simple system where you just have a canister filter, a gas tank, and a few tubes to check. There are multiple valves between the tank and the canister purge system. There's a leak detection system. There's multiple lines that need to be checked and all that other stuff. So this is a known problem on the Jeep Cherokee. It's been a constant recall, and in most cases is under warranty, but I don't believe this one is under warranty on this one. So the first steps we're going to look at is Chrysler does have a real funny song and dance of a diagnosis procedure to take you through to go ahead and eliminate all legs of the system. And it can get a little bit complicated, so I'm going to tell you what I kind of did right off the bat. First off, some of these valves, like the purge canister solenoid valve, which sits right here on top of the intake, that's like $20 or $30, and as you can see, it's disconnect here, disconnect here, disconnect here. Put your new valve in. See if that doesn't fix a problem. Professional or not, time is money, and you're getting ready. If you have this issue, then it's very possible you're getting ready to get involved in an extensive diagnosis. So go ahead and spend the $20 or $30, replace this valve. That just may fix your issue. But if it doesn't, then you're going to need to go back here to the rear where your filler tube is. All right? And the first valve that you're going to want to disconnect is this one right here, okay? And it's part of your filler tube, and it's part of the recirculation system. So what you're going to do is you're going to leave it plugged in, and you're going to pull that valve off, and you're going to disconnect it, all right? And then you're going to go, and you're going to see if you can fill your tank. If you can fill your tank, then you replace this filler tube and this valve, all right? If you can't fill the tank, then you proceed to the next step and you disconnect it here. Okay, and as you're disconnecting this stuff, be looking for blockages, dirt, anything like that up inside of here as you're disconnecting it that could be causing an issue. Okay, so then you're going to disconnect this one, and again, you're going to run it up to the gas station, and you're going to see if it fills up with gas. If it does not fill up with gas, okay, and again, if it does fill up with gas, then that's all the indication you need to go ahead and replace just this valve and tube, okay? So if this one disconnects, fills up, replace your filler tube and valve. If this one allows you to fill up all disconnected, just replace this part right here. All right. If not, then you need to reconnect this, and you need to go to your purge canister, and you need to disconnect your purge canister. Now, if you disconnect your purge canister and it allows you to fill up, then go ahead and replace your purge canister as well as your pump. All right. And the pump is pretty simple. You just pull that back and then twist it. All right, and sometimes you can also just check in here. You can pull this out and just check. See if there's any blockages in there. See if there's any blockages in there. Okay, also pull and disconnect. Take it up to the gas station. See if it will allow you to fill up. Sometimes the filter itself needs to be replaced, all right? And so if you've gone through all of that, though, okay, so you've done what I've done. You've taken the time to go through all of this, okay, and you still can't fill it up, then unfortunately you're going to have to start checking your gas tank, and more than likely you will have to replace the whole gas tank. So I'm going to pause it here and show you how we ended up at that conclusion. Okay, folks. So one of the awesome tools that I like to utilize is this awesome scope camera here. Now, one of the first things that I did do that I made a note of is I ran the scope camera down into the filler tube as it was still connected. And one of the things that I found was down about right around in here, I noticed that we had gas inside of the filler tube. And I thought, that's interesting. You never really should have gas inside of your filler tube. That doesn't make any sense. So I made sure to make a note about that. And then another thing that I noticed is as I was filling up this vehicle, okay, I noticed that every time it shut off, if I pulled the pump out quick enough, I could see all the way up until about here, I could see the gas was filling all the way up to about here. You pull it out, you'd see it all bubble, and it'd go down, and it'd run down into there. So another thing I noticed is it would act as if it's full of gas, you know, again, not allowing you to put gas in it, even though it wasn't registering full. And the way it was acting as we were driving it and trying to put gas in it compared to what the gas gauge was reading was not correct as well. So I did go ahead, again, after running through my whole diagnosis procedure, I went ahead and I disconnected the filler tube from the tank. And one of the first things I noticed was the filler tube did have gas in it, spilled quite a bit of gas out there. And so, what does that confirm? Well, per Chrysler and per the diagnosis and everything, that confirms that everything is working accordingly except for the check valve, the inlet check valve right here inside of the tank. Let me see if I can get the flash, get some light going. Okay, so again, that's going to be the check valve inside of the tank. Now, this tank is a dumb design because in order to replace that check valve, we do have to replace the whole tank. So, inside of there, if you can see it, the camera will focus. Okay, so what is happening is the check valve inside of here is stuck closed, okay? And so because that is stuck closed inside of this tank, because that valve is stuck closed, as you're trying to fill up this vehicle, it's not allowing the gas to flow freely like it's supposed to. So it's filling up, it's backing up here, and it's filling up inside of the fill tube, gets up to the point to where it gets to the overflow, and boom, your pump then shuts off. That's why you can only get literally a few cents in at a time. I mean, it's pump, 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 boom. Pump, 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 boom. I mean, you're lucky to get $2 or $3 in. It's pretty intense. So the only way to replace that and fix that, though, per Chrysler, is to replace the tank. Now, the combination of the diagnosis that I performed, along with the evidence of fuel inside of the filler tank as the filler tube as you're trying to fill it up, and fuel inside of the filler tube as we were scoping it, that already tells me that the check valve is no good. So Chrysler here, disconnect the vapor recirc tube at fuel tank, attempt to refill fuel tank. Does tank refill properly? No. Proceed to step 8. Disconnect the control valve to evap canister. Does tank refill properly? Has you reconnect the vapor recirculation, no. And then right there is where they tell you to replace the fuel tank. I took it a few steps further, okay, and checked everything else as well. But those two right there, basically with those two steps, you are eliminating this valve. Where are you? This valve and any issues with the canister. And so once Chrysler has you do that, they're not going to explain it any further. Bottom line is they know that that valve inside of that tank is no good, and that's why they tell you to replace the tank. Okay? So there she is right there. Bam. Replace fuel tank. So there you go, folks. If you're dealing with vapor lock on your Jeep Grand Cherokee, Jeep Cherokee, 2014 or newer, also on some of the older models, it is a thing. It is an issue. Now here's the catch. It's possibly going to happen again. I'm going to replace that fuel tank, which will replace the internal inlet valve. And after that, it's the same fuel tank from and through Mopar, whoever they outsource to build these fuel tanks. So it's going to have the same inlet valve. So you could replace everything on here. You could replace the filler tube. You could replace the tank. You could replace the canister. But unless they've upgraded and done a production change on some of this system, it's just a bad system, and it's possibly going to happen again later on down the road. So that's just something that you need to watch out for. So I'm going to go and look and see what it's going to take to replace the fuel tank, and then we should be good to go. So, all right, folks. Well, I hope this information helps some of you out there. I know this situation can get a little frustrating because there's not a whole lot out there, and then what is out there is a little vague. So thank you for coming and checking out my channels and supporting me. This is Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, signing off.